Yep, this game needs to be injected into my veins. Sorry for the people who are scared of needles. Okay, let's break down the good and the bad and see why I absolutely need this game in my life. Let's start with the graphics. As soon as the game opens up, my god, it looks gorgeous. The lighting, the shading, the textures, everything that this game shows just looks so beautiful. I absolutely like how the art gives off that watercolor look, making the textures look soft with a vibrant feel to it. What really shows off that watercolor look is the skits. Skits are just small quote-unquote cutscenes that you can watch to see the characters interact with each other. I want to talk more about this later on in the video, but in here you can really see that watercolor detail on their faces and hair, which I'm a fan of. You can also see it on the borders as well, making the skits look like manga panels. If you read manga or comics, you might find it cool seeing this along with the characters animated in the panels. Although on first glance, their faces look kinda stiff, and sometimes it still does, but this is just something that you get used to after looking at it multiple times. The user interface looks very clean as well. When you're out of combat and running around the world, there's only the map and a few buttons to remind you how to play the game or bring up the menu. There's the occasional press A to collect button, but other than that, there's nothing really there, allowing you to immerse yourself with the game's environment without having any of the user interface blocking the way. Although I wish that the map can be hidden in some way when you're standing still, or maybe there's a way to adjust the opacity of the map, because I would just want to see the environment much more. Now, I do like how the party status and mission objectives can be shown when holding down LT, just so that information can be shown when you get lost exploring the space or when you want to see your party member's status. By the way, if you haven't guessed, the footage that you're watching right now is from the Xbox One demo version of the game. Just to let you know that this game already looks good on the current gen systems. So you people who have those high-powered PCs that can do 4K, better be using it for this game and not for bloody Fortnite. When you're in combat, the user interface is pretty simple. Although I kinda don't like how the character's health bar that you're controlling is in the middle and not with your teammate's health bar. Like, I want to see my whole party's health without having to look at my character's health, then dash my eyes across the screen to see my teammate's health. But maybe that's just my preference. I'm sure that I will get used to it. I do like how I can see what each of my buttons do. For example, something like the first aid skill or ability is tied with the Y button, and other abilities are tied to other buttons. This helps a lot when you're fighting enemies and you want to know what your next options are to deal damage or provide support. Special effects. Must I even talk about this? Just look at this and tell me why it doesn't look good. Tell me, because I don't think you can. Okay, maybe other than the fact that it can be a bit too chaotic for someone that doesn't like too much effects going on, but my god, this is glorious. As I said, it can be a bit too much for someone that needs to know what's going on, but you'll get the hang of it eventually. When I first saw it, it looked hella messy. I couldn't even tell what was going on. All I knew is that someone was doing something. In the end, I got used to it, so it's not much of a problem for me at least. Okay, now let's talk about the characters. All of them are great. None of their personalities are annoying or boring at all, in my opinion. I love the synergy that they have between each other and the small talks that they have after battle. It gives the side characters a reason for you to like them as much as you would like the main characters. The demo doesn't really do much in terms of the main story. Nothing is really explained here. It just gives small context to the story. For example, there's a skit where Alphen questions Shion's weapon and how he finds it fascinating. Shion questions back with why he finds enemy tech amazing and how that can be contradicting to someone like him. This is just a small context or a hint relating to the main story. Okay, now we can talk about the skits. Seeing the whole cast of characters interact with each other is pretty entertaining. I didn't find any of them cringy or boring. I enjoyed it quite a lot. You're not forced to watch these skits, but I'd say if you're invested with each of the character stories and personalities, then giving these skits a watch will be worth your time. They are so well done, and I just want to see more of my best girl win well. Don't expect these skits to be the cutscenes you'll see for the main story scenes. The demo kinda shows off those cutscenes when you complete the demo. But I'm guessing the skits will use these manga panel types of cutscenes, which isn't that bad. The demo really shows off the relationships between the characters and how each of them are lovable in their own ways. You might not see these interactions in other RPGs where the side characters only communicate with the main character and not with the other side characters. Of course, if you're a returning fan of the Tales of series, this will not be new to you. But for someone stepping into a Tales of game or a JRPG for the first time, then you might appreciate this type of character interactions. Now let's get into the deep part of the game, which is combat. Combat can be seen as simple, but it has quite a lot of complexity behind it. From the start, it tells you that you can string together 3 basic attacks, and you can increase that amount by learning specific skills. The demo doesn't give you access to these skills. Then it tells you that you can perform arts by pressing Y, X, or A. Arts are basically your abilities or magic attacks, and they can only be used by spending parts of the arts gauge, which can be seen above your health bar. There's a lot of different kinds of arts, where some of them can be only used on the ground and others can be used mid-air. Some of them also have the ability to send the user into the air or send them to the ground. If you spam the same arts, they will become less and less effective, so you better use your brain and stop spamming the same attack. The arts gauge that lets you perform your arts recharges over time, but doing attacks will slow down the recharge. There's another way to restore the arts gauge, and that's by doing boost attacks. Boost attacks are done by pressing one of the D-pad buttons. Each of these boost attacks are unique to each character and have their own abilities. For example, Law's boost attack can break an enemy's armor. There's only 2 enemies in the demo that have armor, but obviously there's going to be much more in the full game. Boost attacks also have their own gauge and can be filled by landing hits on the enemies. You can also perform boost attacks from other teammates that are not in battle, which just means that you can make everyone that's either in the party or not to do a boost attack. After chaining your basic attacks, arts, and boost attacks together, as long as you can keep up your combos without getting hit, you'll be able to perform a boost strike. In the help section, it says boost strikes are one-hit kill attacks, but that's a lie. Okay, it can be one-hit kill attacks on normal enemies, but on a boss, or what they call Gigant Zugos, boost strikes are not one-hit kills. Instead, it would do massive damage to the enemy. With all of this in mind, there's also some more stuff like dodging, staggering, elements, physical elements, weak points, and much more. On a basic level, you would want to start your fights with your basic attacks, perform a couple of arts, do boost attacks to fill up the arts gauge, and loop back into doing your attacks until you can do the boost strike to either finish off the enemy or deal massive damage. Now on an advanced level, you'll have to think about adding in dodges, what boost attacks to use, which art to use, maybe even use an item to heal, which I didn't even mention that you can do. You can also use items in the middle of battle to heal or revive teammates. I'm guessing that there's more items that could possibly increase your attack for a small duration in the full game. Talking about boosting your attack, there's another thing that you can do, which is cooking. I swear, it feels like cooking is in every JRPG. There's also the cooking buffs that you can receive before heading into battle. Something like increasing your defense for a certain amount of time for every battle you get into. And depending on who does the cooking, you can get various effects. They are putting a lot of effort into the combat of this game, which is to be expected of a JRPG or for a Tales of game. By the way, if you haven't already guessed, I'm new to the Tales of franchise. As a newcomer to the combat of Tales of, the combat here feels slightly like a hack and slash, but more of an RPG. Firstly, I felt like I had to button mash, but after some time, I had to strategize the way I fight the enemies. Especially when it came to fighting boss enemies. The more talk about combat, the longer this video is gonna be. Alright, let me just quickly add on some more stuff that I want to mention. You can switch characters either before battle or mid-battle. Each character plays differently with their own fighting styles. They all have their own perks, like Winwell has the ability to charge magic attacks, or Alphen can sacrifice HP to change his attack and deal massive damage. You can change the way your teammates act in battle by going into the menu, strategy, and change the tactic details. Arts that use healing and supportive effects use cure points along with the arts gauge. Cure points can only be restored by resting at the camp. You can also use those cure points out of battle. Each character has more attacks they can use, but they are hidden. You just need to assign them in the arts menu so that when you manually control a character, you can use those moves. Characters that are automatically fighting will use those hidden attacks unless you toggle them off. Lord, there's a lot of stuff for combat. Alright, I've said a lot of great things about this demo. Are there any bad things that I would like to say that will trigger you or maybe even trigger the Tales of fans? There's a few things. Let me just jump back into combat. I briefly mentioned that you can dodge in combat. I don't like the dodge here. The reason why I don't like it is because you can't cancel an attack with a dodge. You have to be fully committed to do an attack, which sucks when you want to dodge but you have to wait until you finish doing your attack. You can dodge if you're performing an art that has a long cast time, such as Shion's Healing Circle or Winwell's arts, but other attacks can't be dodged out of. Maybe I'm just not used to the dodging mechanics of this game and I've been spoiled by other dodging mechanics. I'm sure it feels fine for others, but it just doesn't sit right with me. Also, you can't dodge mid-air, unless that's a skill that you can learn in the main game, but for now you can't dodge mid-air. The amount of times I got slapped by the monster while I'm mid-air just sucks. Please, there better be a skill that lets me dodge mid-air. The other thing that doesn't sit too well with me is the music. Now don't get me wrong, the title screen music sounds so epic. It makes the game feel like it's going to be a grand heroic adventure, and I can't wait on what kind of feelings I'll have for this game. The world music when you're roaming around kinda sounds like typical adventure music. There's no problem there and it's not too unique in my opinion. However, the real problem about the music is the battle music. At the start you can hear the music kick in and then it just disappears throughout the middle of the fight, and then you can hear it at the end. Now this won't bother a lot of people, but for the small minority of people who look forward to hearing the battle music, won't be able to hear it from the characters shouting out their attacks. Obviously this doesn't really impact your average gamer, but to think about the work that was done for the music of this game, feels like it got shoved under the rug, which is a shame. Overall, the demo is amazing. I spent a good amount of time in this demo because you're able to choose between all 6 characters, swap in between them, and get a feel for their battle styles, along with fighting normal enemies to boss tier enemies. This demo solidified my reason of getting this game. Another sad thing that I want to point out about the demo is that we didn't get to see any animated scenes from the studio working on them, Ufotable. Again, for those who don't know who Ufotable are, they are the ones who animated Demon Slayer. And if you don't know Demon Slayer, then I don't know what to say to you other than to watch it. I hope you guys found this video interesting or entertaining in some way. Give it a like if you did and subscribe to the channel if you want to hear my thoughts on the full game when it eventually comes out. And you should also follow me on my Twitch, link is down in the description box below. I play a bunch of games there, most probably will play a bit of Tales of there, so be sure to follow me there. And finally, be sure to check me out on my Twitter, again links down in the description box below, where you can see any other channel updates. So that's it for me, thank you guys for watching and I shall see you guys later. Okay, here we go.
You shall die.
Did I kill them all? That's cool. That's cool. Yo, that's cool. He actually stops the music when he does that. Oh my god, that's cool. This man too OP. Okay.